Please welcome William Lamb, Staff Engineer 2, and our moderator, Joe Samagon.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks to all of you for being here. We've saved the best for last. William will tell us more about himself, but he has actually been very busy this entire show. And in fact, there's a special panel that he's organized, a demo, which is happening at the same time as this. So he's got that up and running and has chosen to be with us here right now. So thanks for doing that, William.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So William, let me start by asking you to tell us a little bit about your background. I know we talked before, and you have a very interesting journey where you've been on both sides of VMware, a VMware customer for a long time, and now a VMware employee, and
Yeah.
you have an unusual bridge to span. So tell us
Yeah.
more about how you got the journey over the last 10 years.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I actually was a customer of VMware for over 6 years now. I worked in large enterprises, so biotech, search, large SaaS web-based scale companies. And a couple of years ago, I was literally sitting in your guys' seat. Started out as a vSphere admin, managing our infrastructure. And over the years, I've been doing a lot of blogging, as you guys know, on my personal blog, virtuallyghetto.com, and really sharing some of the learnings I've had as a customer with the community. And there was a great opportunity to join VMware and kind of make an impact and really help enable our customers to really drive the next level of adoption of IT transformation. And I couldn't pass that up. And with the blogging, that kind of helped in terms of coming on and working as a technical marketing person around automation, APIs. And that's kind of history right there, right? And I'm coming on my 4 years at VMware this coming October. So, feels like just yesterday I just joined and sitting there, coming through VMware World, it's kind of interesting and surreal. I'm on the other side now, right, talking to you guys and everything. So,
Terrific. That sounds very interesting because it's not very often that you get to be a user of a company's products for a long time and then go across on the other side and work with customers like you and be able to put yourselves in their shoes, literally. Because you were there not too long
exactly,
ago.
yeah. Having been on the other side, I know what are some of the challenges that we're facing and really engaging with the customers though. And I still talk to a lot of our customers that I used to come on-site betas with, sitting there having these conversations. Now I can actually make a difference and take your guys' feedback and help drive the next level of changes in our products, and kind of shows, really where we're going. And, VMware has a lot of potential and a lot of areas that we're investing in, things like storage, networking, and some of the cloud native stuff. That's some really, really interesting stuff, and that's actually the demo that I helped build. That's actually going on right now, so I'm really glad that you guys are here, but really wish you guys could have seen the demo, because I think you guys really would have liked it.
Cool. Looking ahead, looking at, you've had the journey, former VMware customer, VMware employee now. What do you do now? Like, what is your day job, and what is your current focus?
So I get that all the time, actually. It's really difficult, actually, to explain what I do. It's kind of weird, you might say that, but I get into I'm interested in a lot of different technologies, right? Networking, storage, and I think having worked at VMware, there's a lot of opportunities to really explore different types of things, and literally every day I get to work on something different. So a couple weeks ago, I was working on some of our new instant clone capabilities, so I'll quickly deploying a VM instantaneously using some of our cloud-native app tools. Other days, I might be doing vSAN, NSX. And so I kind of see myself as a jack of all trades. I really like, touching a lot of different technologies and then kind of helping our customers. And so that's kind of how I explain it to when I talk to people about that things.
That's neat. Let me ask you a question. I follow you on Twitter quite a bit, and I know I hear you talk about virtual SAN quite a lot.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights of the recent launch that happened at VMworld this week?
So we're on our third release of virtual SAN 6.1. I've been involved in some of the things like the health check stuff, right? Storage has been complex, and we've been trying to simplify it from a storage software perspective. And some of the things is, being able to troubleshoot and diagnose those things as you start to scale your infrastructure. And there was an idea from one of the engineers, Christian Dickman, who worked on this concept of let's build in these health checks that can go in and proactively check things like the HCL to ensure that you have the hardware that's supported, drivers and firmware. And this was just an idea from the engineers, I don't know if this is going to take off or not. And he engaged a couple of us and kind of getting that feedback, and we've been able to take that through different beta stages and engage with our customers and kind of build that up. So, that's one of the big features of vSAN 6.1. We've also had new stretch clustering and a 2-node RoboSite, which has been very well received so far and all that. So that's just some of the updates for vSAN perspective.
Great, thank you. Now, talking about VMware World, I'm sure you've been to more than one. So first of all, how many VMware Worlds have you been to? And I'm sure some of them have been in the shoes of a customer and some as an employee. And what's different visiting VMware World as one or the other?
Yeah, I actually just did the math the other day, so this is actually going to be my 7th VM World. It's crazy that where we from in terms of standing in the customer's shoes and then kind of being on the other side. And I would say from a customer standpoint, what I was really excited about coming to VM World was not only listening to all of our partners and what VMware was announcing in terms of new technologies, where the roadmaps are going, but it was really to network with other customers, learning about the different challenges that they were solving and things that I can help share back with them. So that networking is, to me, is the most important thing at VMworld, right? Because when you guys go home, you can watch all these sessions online, but you don't get that one-on-one interaction. And there's a lot of customers who I'm calling, good friends that I still talk to today, exchanging war stories, how did you do that, how did you do that? So that's from a customer standpoint. On the VMware standpoint, it's interesting because we've been doing a lot of work, on our vSphere 6.0 release, our vSAN update. So it's really exciting for us, for this past year and all the stuff that we've been working on to share that with you guys. Here are the updates. How can we make you guys more efficient? And so that's also really exciting and interesting. So I'm looking forward to VMworld, from a VMware standpoint, to share that information with you guys, right? So it's been an amazing 7 years and hopefully 7 more to go, more.
Given the number of VM Worlds you've been to, as you look back at previous VM Worlds, do you remember anything that has stood out that was memorable or unusually unique that stuck in your mind?
I would say really the networking, to me, that's the thing that stuck out the most. Like I said, that to me is like the most important thing that had the most impact from a human standpoint, is really building those connections, right? Because at the end of the day, all this technology that we talk about day in, day out, it's all to enable us, right? To really make our lives better. And if you look at where things are going in terms of like healthcare, diagnostics, big data, it's all to really enable us to be more better in terms of a human standpoint. And so that networking piece of it, I feel like is really fundamental to a conference like this. And so there's all this stuff that we talk about, but I think that's the piece that has the biggest impact on me every year.
That's a very unusual perspective. It's not often that you ask a geek a question that he could actually go on with, about 10 different products and 15 different features. And he passes on that and talks about the human element of why he comes here.
Well, I can talk tech as well, too, if you want to go down that.
Talking about tech, at this VMworld, we're on day three here now. What has got your attention or fancy so far?
Yeah. Definitely the vSAN stuff that we've been talking about, but in addition to that, a lot of the cloud-native app stuff that we've been announcing with the Photon platform, I think that's some really game-changing stuff that's really going to disrupt the industry and working with all the different partners. One thing that I'm really excited about that I was lucky and fortunate to have been a part of is an instant clone technology, which came out in our vSphere 6.0 release. Traditionally, we've been able to clone a VM relatively quick, in the 4 or 5 minutes range, using various techniques and technologies. One of the key features that came out in our vSphere 6.0 release is a feature called instant clone. So if any of you guys are familiar with being able to quickly clone a VM, this ability allows us to share both the storage and the memory footprint immediately. So now I can quickly spin up a fully working, unique instance of a VM literally in seconds. So I had the opportunity to work with Alan Renouf, who's one of the PMs working on the instant clone, kind of sporting their shirt today. And I had the fortune to build a demo where we're basically spinning up 1,200 VMs in about 15 minutes time. And these are fully operational VMs, unique on the network. And so I thought that was a pretty cool little trick and all that. So yeah, I think that's an exciting feature for our customers and see how they might go ahead and use it.
Exactly. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. You talked about your ability to connect with customers at a personal level. And I can see that because you're also very active on social media. And not just social media externally, which all of you can see on Twitter if you're not a VMware employee. But being a VMware employee, I actually see William on our internal social media channels quite a bit too. So he's very active on Socialcast internally, answering questions, helping people out, and then equally active on Twitter and other social media platforms, doing the same thing for people outside VMware. So question for you, what drew you to all these social media activity, and how has it helped you?
Yeah, what drew me is really the being able to connect to our customers, right? I think Twitter, Socialcast, all these different types of mediums can really be leveraged if it's used correctly, right? People don't want to hear that you're eating this type of food every single day. But what I really liked was coming from a customer, right? I had pain points that I want to make sure that it gets to the right people, and sometimes it's really hard to get that information to the right folks. And so having been on the customer side, I want to be a customer evangelist, advocate for our customers. And you've seen my internal postings. Sometimes they're not nice. And I really want to push our product managers. I want to really push our development managers to really put our customers first. User experience is key, in my opinion. And so I've been using Twitter and all these different streams of mediums to be able to connect to our customers, hear the feedback. It also allows me to share that information out, right? It's a massive reach. I can say, here's this particular issue. You might come across it, and it reaches a mass amount of people. But the inverse, I also can get all that feedback and pull that in and share that internally. And so both from an external standpoint as well as a internal standpoint, I leverage social media tremendously, not only dispersing information, but really pulling that information back and sharing that back within engineering. So I feel like that is the really, really powerful capability, and we've been doing it all week here, right? So I think that's a really good use for that.
No, that's really powerful stuff. That's very, very powerful. So kudos to you.
Thanks.
So between all the different jobs you do, your real job and the other jobs you take on, your social media activity internally and externally, all the demo stuff you do, whether it's part of your job or not, what do you do with the rest of your free time?
So I used to ride a lot. So I do road biking for a little bit, but we actually just had our first baby. So our daughter's almost 6 months this week. And so that's my primary focus now. So biking and all these other activities are kind of on the back burner for now and all of that. But generally try to like to ride if I can. In the past, kind of help clear my head. But right now, really just focusing on my daughter. The other day, I just found from my wife, she just learned how to sit up in the middle of the night, which is good and bad because she's like, hey, let's do this at 4 a.m. in the morning. And keep doing it until she doesn't fall asleep. So that's been really fun for me lately.
Are you looking forward to her following your footsteps?
Maybe not all of them, but yeah.
Well, this was really useful talking to you, William. So let me stop talking and asking questions, and look to our audience to see if they have anything they'd like to ask William about, personally, professionally, raising children, biking, social media.
Hi. I was curious if you're going to eventually create a blog about PyVommy, which is the Python implementation of the vSphere API.
Yeah. So the question was, do I plan on blogging more about the PyVMommy API a little bit more? So I've done a little bit of blogging. So for those of you guys who aren't familiar with PyVMommy, we have an API that exposes VMware's capabilities as a consumption endpoint, right? And the PyVMommy is just a Python bindings to this particular API. So if you're a Python enthusiast scripter, this is one way of consuming our APIs, right, on how you can automate things. So I've done some blogs on it. There's a couple of engineers that's been doing a lot of good work on GitHub. So I don't know if you've checked out the repo. So they have a lot of good content there. Trying to manage my time, and there's so many different topics, right? And so yeah, it's something I can definitely consider putting up. If you have feedback, definitely let me know. Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah.
A couple of questions, Williams. One is, could you advocate for getting the Perl SDK released to open source? And second is, in all these new APIs, what does the ONI stand for?
I didn't get that last part.
In the new APIs like the Go ONI and the PyONI, and it's a ONI at the end. What does that mean? Sorry.
I didn't hear the last part, yeah.
No, you were just talking about PyONI. What does the ONI stand for?
I don't know. Oh, sorry. Sorry, if I got the first question, it was around if we want to do Perl SDK as a public. Got it. Okay. So the first question was, can we release the Perl SDK? So again, this is the Perl bindings to our APIs on publicly on something like GitHub and all that, so you can consume it. And I think the second question was, what does the OMI part of PyVMommy mean? I'll answer the second question first. It's an internal acronym in terms of, this is engineering talk, so there's an acronym for it. It's actually on my blog. I just don't know it offhand, sorry. And then in terms of Perl SDK, so funny enough, that actually started out as an open source project. If you look back in the day, it used to be on SVN. And it's something that our product managers is interested in hearing, so I'll definitely share that internally. I can't say in terms of what we want to do with it, but I think that's something that our product manager, Alan Renouf, if you're aware of him, he's definitely managing it, so it's something that he's interested in, and so I'll definitely relay some of that feedback.
Thank you for both the questions. If there are any other questions, we'd be happy to take them. If not, I think William is going to be here in the booth for a few more minutes. If you'd like to come up and talk to him one-on-one, we'd welcome to do that as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.